Female CEO said, "I need a fake boyfriend for a day at my ex's wedding," what the single dad said. Intro hook. She had built a company from scratch, managed hundreds of employees, and negotiated million-dollar deals without blinking. But standing in her kitchen that Tuesday morning, holding a wedding invitation with shaking hands, Alexandra Mercer felt like she couldn't breathe. Her ex-fiancé was getting married, to her former best friend, and somehow, she had been invited. What happened next, nobody could have predicted. Because the stranger who stepped in to help her wasn't a Prince Charming. He was a tired, flower-dusted single dad who almost said no. Sometimes kindness doesn't wear a cape. Sometimes it shows up in a beat-up minivan, with a kid's juice box on the passenger seat and absolutely nothing to gain. Subscribe call out. Before we dive into this story, if you love heartwarming tales that remind you what people are truly capable of, welcome to Heartfelt Moments, the channel where real kindness lives. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a comment below telling us about a time a stranger's kindness surprised you. Now, let's get into it. Main story. Alexandra Mercer was 38 years old and ran a tech company in Austin, Texas with over 400 employees. On paper, her life looked like a highlight reel. But inside, she carried the quiet ache of a woman who had given 5 years of her heart to a man named Daniel, only to discover he had been falling in love with her best friend, Claire, the entire time. The breakup had been devastating. The friendship, gone overnight. And now, 2 years later, an ivory envelope had arrived at her door, a wedding invitation, signed with both their names. She almost threw it away. But something stubborn in her said, "Show up." Show up put together, confident, and not alone. The only problem was, she was very much alone. In a moment of pure desperation, Alexandra opened a community Facebook group for her neighborhood and typed something she never imagined herself typing. "This is going to sound absolutely crazy," she wrote, "but I need someone to pretend to be my boyfriend for one afternoon at a wedding this Saturday. I will explain everything. I am not dangerous. I am just a woman who needs a little backup." She added a laughing emoji to soften it, then closed her laptop and went to bed. She woke up to 47 comments, most of them jokes, a few kind offers from women who just wanted to be her +1 for solidarity, and one message that was different from all the rest. His name was Marcus Webb. He was 35, a former high school history teacher turned stay-at-home dad after his wife passed away 3 years ago from cancer. He was currently trying to get back on his feet, working part-time at his brother's bakery. He had a 7-year-old daughter named Lily who, according to his message, had helped him decide to respond. "I showed my daughter your post," Marcus wrote, "and she said, 'Daddy, that lady sounds sad. You should help her. I'm not looking for anything weird and I'm not trying to be a hero. But I know what it feels like to walk into a room and feel like everyone is watching you with pity. If you want, I can stand next to you on Saturday and just be a decent human being. That's all I've got to offer.'" Alexandra read it 3 times. Then she cried for 10 minutes. Then she replied, "You and Lily are good people." Yes. They met for coffee on Thursday to get their story straight. Marcus showed up in a clean button-down shirt, still smelling faintly of cinnamon from the bakery. He brought Lily, who immediately climbed into the chair next to Alexandra and announced, "My daddy says you're brave." Alexandra had to look at the ceiling to keep from crying again. They kept the story simple. They had met through mutual friends. They had been dating for a few months. They liked hiking. Neither of them actually hiked, but it seemed like a safe enough lie. Saturday came gray and cool. The wedding was at a vineyard outside the city, the kind of beautiful venue that made everything feel more bittersweet. Alexandra wore a deep burgundy dress and told herself she was fine 14 times before she walked through the door. Marcus was waiting for her at the entrance, wearing a navy suit that fit him well. He looked at her and said, quietly, "You look really great. And you don't have to be nervous. We've got this." It was such a simple thing to say. But it landed somewhere deep. They walked in together. Daniel noticed her within the first 5 minutes. She could tell by the way his eyes flickered with surprise. Claire smiled too carefully, and Alexandra stood tall, laughed at Marcus's gentle jokes, and let herself breathe. At one point during the reception, Daniel's mother, a woman who had always adored Alexandra, pulled her aside and whispered, "He looks at you like you matter." Alexandra glanced over at Marcus, who was at that exact moment crouched down on one knee, video calling Lily so she could see the pretty flowers at the venue. And Alexandra thought, he does. Not in a romantic way, but in the way that truly decent people make you feel, like you are seen, and you are worth showing up for. She didn't need the fake boyfriend act to last the whole night. What she needed was simply to not feel invisible. And Marcus gave her that, without asking for anything in return. On the drive home, she asked him why he really said yes. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "When my wife was sick, strangers helped us more than I can ever repay. I've been looking for ways to pay it forward ever since. Lily keeps me accountable." Alexandra made a donation the following week to a local fund supporting families dealing with medical hardship, in the name of Marcus's late wife. She included a note that simply said, "Because kindness deserves to keep going." Closing. Here is what this story is really about. It isn't about a wedding, or an ex, or even a fake relationship. It is about a little girl who saw someone's pain through a screen and told her dad to help. It is about a man who chose generosity over indifference on a random Tuesday. It is about the quiet, powerful truth that kindness, real kindness, asks for nothing and changes everything. You don't need a grand gesture. Sometimes all it takes is showing up and saying, "I've got this with you." Go be that person for someone today.